New Year's Day doesn't arrive with fireworks for most of us. It arrives quietly. A calendar flips. The room looks the same. Your problems didn't pack their bags and leave at midnight. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Because real change never announces itself loudly. It begins in small, deliberate acts that look unimpressive from the outside, but alter everything on the inside. If you do this one New Year's differently, not with noise, but with intention, you won't just mark time, you'll redirect it. Every year, we stand at the edge of a fresh calendar and swear allegiance to a better version of ourselves. We make loud promises, ambitious promises, the kind that sound impressive when spoken out loud, but quietly collapse when real life shows up. We promise total transformation, instant discipline, a flawless future. And then a few weeks later, the weight of those promises becomes unbearable. Not because we are weak, but because we aimed too far ahead and forgot where change actually begins. Real change doesn't start with a grand declaration. It starts with a decision so small it feels almost insignificant. Something simple, something unavoidable. A promise you don't need motivation to keep because it doesn't demand heroics. It demands presence. The mistake people make is thinking that commitment must be dramatic to be effective. In truth, the smaller the promise, the harder it is to escape. Think about the person who says they're going to get healthy this year. They picture early mornings, perfect meals, relentless discipline. And when they miss one day, the entire plan collapses. But imagine a different promise. Not to run 5 miles, not to transform overnight, just to put on running shoes every morning. That's it. No pressure to perform, only to show up. Most days, once the shoes are on, the body follows. And on the days it doesn't, the promise is still kept. That's how momentum is born. Science supports this truth. Habits form faster when the entry point is small and consistent. The brain resists massive change but accepts tiny rituals. When you lower the barrier, you remove the excuse. There's nothing to negotiate with. No inner debate. The action becomes automatic and consistency begins to shape identity. This is how lives actually change. Not in sudden leaps, but in quiet repetitions. One small act done daily becomes proof that you can trust yourself again. And trust is everything. When you keep one promise, no matter how small, you begin to believe in your own word. That belief grows, it hardens, it carries weight. So don't promise the outcome. Don't swear allegiance to a fantasy version of yourself. Choose one action so simple you can't run from it. Make a promise you can't escape. Because once you start keeping your word, everything else starts falling into place. Most people don't stay stuck because they lack talent, effort, or opportunity. They stay stuck because they keep lying to themselves in small, polite ways. Not dramatic lies, comfortable ones, the kind that sound reasonable when repeated often enough. It's not that bad. This is just how life is. I'll deal with it later, and later quietly turns into years. Time passes, energy drains, and the truth sits there, patient and heavy, waiting to be acknowledged. Telling the truth about what isn't working feels dangerous because it removes the illusion of control. Once you name the problem, you can't unsee it. You can't pretend the ache isn't there, but pretending has a cost. It shows up as exhaustion, resentment, and that dull sense of disappointment you can't quite explain. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're carrying a life that doesn't fit anymore. This doesn't require public confessions or dramatic exits. It begins quietly, alone, with a moment of honesty so clear it almost hurts. Saying, this job is draining me, or this relationship no longer feels safe, or I'm afraid and I've been hiding behind busyness. These words don't destroy your life. They clarify it. They give shape to the discomfort so it can finally be addressed. There's a reason this step matters so much. Studies in psychology show that people who clearly identify sources of dissatisfaction are far more likely to take meaningful action than those who rely on vague optimism. Hope without truth becomes denial. But truth, even when uncomfortable, creates direction. It tells you where not to stand anymore. I once knew someone who wrote a single sentence on a piece of paper and kept it in their pocket. I'm exhausted pretending this is enough. That sentence didn't solve anything overnight, but it stopped the self-betrayal. It became a compass. Every decision after that was measured against honesty instead of fear. Telling the truth doesn't mean you must fix everything today. It means you stop gaslighting your own experience. You stop shrinking your needs to make discomfort more tolerable. You stop asking for permission to want more. The moment you speak the truth, even in a whisper, something shifts. You're no longer trapped. You're oriented. And once you know where you truly stand, moving forward becomes not just possible, but inevitable. So many people spend their lives chasing things: money, recognition, titles, validation, as if collecting them will somehow stitch together the person they want to be. They wake up each morning thinking that success is something you acquire, like a trophy on a shelf, and that happiness will follow automatically. But here's the quiet truth. Acquiring things doesn't shape character. It doesn't define courage, resilience, or integrity. You can get everything you want and still wake up one morning feeling like a stranger in your own life. The real transformation begins when you stop asking what you can get and start asking who you want to become. Deciding who you are is not a dramatic gesture. It's not about proclaiming it to the world or drafting a manifesto. It starts quietly in the small choices you make when no one is watching. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you wake up and honor one promise to yourself, you are affirming your identity. When you speak kindly in a moment of frustration, you are casting a vote for the person you choose to be. And when you resist a temptation that would compromise your values, you are shaping the architecture of your character, brick by brick. I once knew a man who wanted to write a book for years. He kept waiting for inspiration, for a clear schedule, for the perfect idea, but nothing happened. Then one day, he stopped chasing the outcome and instead decided, I am a writer. I write every single day, even if it's just a sentence. That small identity shift changed everything. Words flowed, discipline emerged, and the book, long postponed, finally took shape. The outcome was inevitable because he had committed to being the kind of person who produces, regardless of external circumstances. Psychology supports this. Studies show that identity-based goals, focusing on who you want to be rather than what you want to acquire, produce far stronger, longer-lasting results. Why? Because every action aligns with your sense of self. You're no longer performing to earn approval or rewards. You're acting in harmony with your own truth. This new year, don't chase the next thing. Don't obsess over numbers, accolades, or titles. Decide who you are. Decide the kind of person whose choices, habits, and words reflect your deepest intentions. Live that identity every day, especially when it's hard, especially when it's quiet. Become that person first, and the rest, the opportunities, the accomplishments, the recognition, will inevitably follow. Because life responds not to what you want to get, but to who you decide to be. Every day begins the same way, whether we notice it or not. The alarm rings. The world rushes in. Phones buzz. Notifications demand attention. And before you know it, the day has already claimed you, leaving you scattered, reactive, and exhausted. Yet, there's a truth most people overlook. The first 10 minutes of your day shape the rest of it. They program your mind, your focus, your energy. If you hand them over to chaos, the whole day will follow that pattern. But if you take them intentionally, even in silence, everything begins to shift. A quiet ritual doesn't require grandeur. You don't need a perfectly curated morning routine or expensive tools. You need nothing but presence. 10 minutes, enough to anchor yourself before the world demands your attention. Sit, breathe, write a single sentence. Read a line of something meaningful. Walk, stretch, listen to your own heartbeat. Let these minutes become sacred. Let them remind you that you are in charge of your day, that you set the tone, that you are not just reacting, you are creating. I once met a woman whose mornings were always chaotic. Coffee spilled, emails screamed for attention, the world tugged at her before she could even think. One day, she decided to change one small thing. The first 10 minutes of her day were hers alone. No screens, no obligations, just a journal and her thoughts. Within weeks, she noticed something remarkable. Her focus sharpened, her anxiety eased, and her decisions, even small ones, became more deliberate. She was no longer being swept along by life, she was directing it. Science confirms what experience teaches. Neuroscience shows that how we begin our day influences our cortisol levels, our stress response, and our ability to maintain focus. 10 minutes of calm can recalibrate your nervous system, allowing clarity to replace chaos. It's not about perfection. It's about repetition. It's about proving to yourself daily that you matter, that your mind and your choices matter. The beauty of this ritual is that it compounds silently. Each day, these 10 minutes build resilience, focus, and self-trust. They prepare you for challenges, for opportunities, for the mundane moments that shape life more than we realize. A simple, quiet beginning doesn't just change your mornings, it changes the trajectory of your entire life. If you protect nothing else, protect these 10 minutes. They are your chance to step into your day as the person you want to be, not the person everyone else needs you to be. They are small, unassuming, and powerful, and in their quiet consistency lies transformation. Most people live their lives tiptoeing around words they wish they could speak. We hold back. We soften truths. We postpone difficult conversations because we fear conflict, judgment, or rejection. And so, the years slip by while important things remain unsaid, buried under polite smiles and quiet avoidance. But here's the reality. Avoiding the conversation doesn't protect you. It chains you. It allows doubt, resentment, and unspoken tension to grow until it feels heavier than the words themselves ever could. Change, real change, begins when you decide to speak what needs to be said. Choosing one brave conversation and having it early is more than just a strategy. It's a declaration to yourself that you will no longer let fear dictate your life. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need the world to applaud you. You only need to be honest and deliberate. It might be telling a partner how you really feel, expressing a concern to a colleague, or confronting a personal fear that has been holding you back. Whatever it is, commit to addressing it early, not when it's convenient, not when it's comfortable, but now, when the moment is yours to claim. I once met a man who had avoided confronting a toxic work relationship for years. Every day he carried frustration and anxiety, pretending it didn't affect him, until finally he decided to have the conversation he had been dreading. He prepared, he spoke clearly, and he held his ground. The outcome wasn't perfect, but something far more important shifted. He no longer felt trapped. Relief, clarity, and self-respect replaced years of silent suffering. That single act of courage set the tone for the rest of his year, and in time it reshaped his career. Studies show that people who address difficult conversations directly report higher long-term satisfaction, even when the outcome is imperfect. Avoidance only prolongs pain, while courage compounds. One brave conversation opens doors I didn't realize were locked, and once you speak, the fear that once loomed so large begins to shrink. So this year, don't wait. Choose the one conversation that matters most and have it early. Speak with clarity, honesty, and respect. You may not control how others respond, but you will reclaim control over yourself. Life rewards those who act with courage, not those who wait for permission. The first word spoken in bravery is the first step toward freedom, and that step changes everything. New Year's doesn't change your life. You do, quietly, repeatedly, with small acts of courage no one applauds. So do this differently. Make one small promise, tell one hard truth, choose an identity, guard your mornings, speak one brave sentence. A year from now, people may ask what changed. You won't have a dramatic answer. You'll just know this was the year you stopped waiting for permission and started moving with intention.